It was 3 weeks before my freshman year at State. I was so excited, like I'd been dreaming about this since middle school. My grandparents, God rest their souls, they set up this college fund for me when I was born. They passed when I was 12, but Dad always said, "Don't worry, honey. Your future is secure." Grandma and Grandpa made sure of that. I trusted him. Why wouldn't I? He's my dad, right? So fast forward to that August morning. I'm at the financial aid office doing final paperwork, and the lady looks at me with these confused eyes. She says, "Sweetie, there's nothing here. The account shows zero." I laughed. Like literally laughed, because it had to be a mistake. But then she showed me the screen. Withdrawals. Multiple withdrawals. All signed by my father. My stomach dropped so hard I thought I was gonna throw up right there. But who took it, and why? That's when things got really twisted. I drove home so fast I'm surprised I didn't get pulled over. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. When I burst through the door, Dad was in the kitchen making coffee like it was just another Tuesday. I slammed the bank printout on the counter and said, "What is this?" He didn't even look surprised. That's what got me. No shock. No confusion. Just this tired sigh, like I was bothering him. "We need to talk," he said. "Yeah, we definitely do," I shot back. He sat down at the kitchen table and folded his hands like he was about to give me some lecture. And that's when he said it. The thing that broke something inside me. I had to use the money for something important. "You'll understand when you're older." When I'm older? I was 18. I was about to start college. The college that money was supposed to pay for. But what could possibly be more important than his own daughter's education? The truth made me see red. "Important for who?" I asked. My voice was shaking now, and not from sadness, from pure rage. He looked down at his coffee. "For Dylan," he said quietly. "Dylan." I didn't even know who Dylan was. "Who the hell is Dylan?" I practically screamed. And that's when it all came out. For the past 2 years, my dad had been having an affair with a woman named Jennifer. And Jennifer had a son, Dylan, a 19-year-old kid who needed money for, wait for it, art school. Art school. My college fund, the one my dead grandparents saved for years, went to pay for some other woman's kid to go paint pictures or whatever. I stood there, frozen. "You're joking," I whispered. "Tell me you're joking." But he wasn't. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "Dylan needed it more. He's had a hard life." A hard life? And what did he think I was living? A fairy tale? But it gets worse. Because Dad wasn't done defending his betrayal. I was crying now, ugly crying, and I didn't even care. "How could you do this to me?" I sobbed. "I'm your daughter. Your daughter." And you know what he said? He looked at me with these cold eyes I didn't even recognize anymore, and said, "Family first, sweetheart." I froze. Those words. Those words. Family first. Like they were supposed to comfort me. Like they made any sense. "I am your family," I shouted. "Or did you forget that?" He shook his head slowly. "Dylan is part of my life now. Jennifer is part of my life. I have responsibilities to them too. Responsibilities. To his affair partner and her kid. But not to me, not to his own flesh and blood." I felt like I was in some twisted nightmare. This man, the one who taught me to ride a bike, who came to every school play, who promised to walk me down the aisle someday, he was choosing them over me. And then he said something even worse that made me realize I'd lost my dad forever. "Dylan never had a father figure," Dad continued, like he was explaining why he bought the wrong brand of cereal. "He needed someone to believe in him, to invest in his future." I couldn't breathe. I literally couldn't catch my breath. "And I didn't need that?" I choked out. "I didn't need my father to invest in my future?" He had the audacity to look annoyed. "You're smart, honey. You'll figure it out. You can get loans, scholarships. Dylan doesn't have those options." Doesn't have those options? Because my dad spent my money on him. The logic was so twisted I felt dizzy. "What about Mom?" I asked, grasping at straws. "Does she know?" His face went pale. And that's when I knew. Mom had no idea. About the affair, about Jennifer, about Dylan, about the money. Nothing. My dad had been living a complete double life, and I'd just stumbled into the middle of it. I was about to blow up his whole world. But first, I needed proof. I didn't say another word to him. I just walked upstairs to my room, locked the door and started digging. If Dad thought I was just going to roll over and take this, he was dead wrong. I grabbed my laptop and started going through everything I could find. Old emails on the family computer. Bank statements I'd seen lying around. I even checked his phone records online. We were all on the same family plan, and I knew the password. And holy crap, what I found was even worse than I thought. Messages to Jennifer going back 3 years, not 2. Pictures of them together. Pictures of Dylan. Dad had even bought Dylan a car last year, a freaking car, and told Mom it was a business expense. There were restaurant charges, hotel charges, charges to jewelry stores. All while Mom was working double shifts at the hospital to help with my expenses, because Dad said money was tight. But the worst thing I found? That's what gave me the idea for my revenge. Deep in Dad's email, I found something that made my hands shake. Legal documents. He'd been planning to divorce Mom and marry Jennifer. The papers were already drawn up by a lawyer. He was just waiting for the right time. And here's the kicker, he'd been moving money around for months. Not just my college fund, but joint savings accounts, money from the house refinance, everything. He was systematically draining everything he and Mom had built together to start fresh with his new family. There was even an email where he told Jennifer, "Don't worry, baby. Once the divorce is final, we'll have everything we need. I'm taking care of it." Taking care of it by stealing from his own family. I printed everything. Every single document, every email, every bank statement. My printer was going for 20 minutes straight. Then I made digital copies and put them in 3 different cloud accounts, just to be safe. Because I was about to do something that would change all our lives forever. Mom came home around 6 that evening, exhausted from her shift. She had no idea what was coming. I was sitting at the kitchen table with a folder full of printouts. Dad was still there, nervous now, watching me like I was a bomb about to go off. "Mom," I said quietly, "you need to sit down." She looked between us, confused. "What's going on? You two have a fight?" "Just sit down, please," I said. My voice cracked. She sat. I slid the folder across to her. "Mom, I need you to read this. All of it. And I need Dad to stay right there and not say a single word." "Honey, what?" she started. "Just read it, Mom. Please." So she did. I watched her face change as she turned each page. Confusion, then shock, then horror. Then this awful broken expression that made me want to cry all over again. Her hands started shaking. "Tom," she whispered, looking at Dad. "Tell me this isn't real." Dad's response shocked both of us. The man had completely lost his mind. Instead of apologizing, instead of begging for forgiveness, you know what Dad did? He got defensive. "You weren't supposed to see that," he said to Mom. Not "I'm sorry." Not "I made a mistake." Just, "You weren't supposed to see that." Like his only regret was getting caught. Mom stood up so fast her chair fell backward. 3 years, she said, her voice getting louder. 3 years, Tom? And you took our daughter's college money? Money that wasn't even yours? "I can explain," he started. "Explain?" Mom screamed. I'd never heard her scream like that, ever. "You stole from your own child. You've been planning to abandon us. What exactly do you think you can explain?" That's when Dad made his biggest mistake. He said, "Maybe if you'd been more supportive, I wouldn't have needed to look elsewhere." The room went silent. Even I was shocked, and I already knew he was a terrible person. Mom's face went from red to white. What Mom did next. I'd never been more proud of her in my life. Mom walked very calmly to the kitchen drawer and pulled out her phone. She dialed a number and I heard a man's voice answer. "Mark, it's Karen. I need you to file those papers we discussed." "Yes, tonight. And I need the emergency protection order for the assets too." Dad's face went gray. "What papers?" he stuttered. Mom ignored him completely. She talked to her lawyer, because apparently she had a lawyer, which I didn't even know, for 10 minutes, right there in front of him. Turns out my mom wasn't as clueless as Dad thought. She'd suspected something was up for months. She'd been gathering her own evidence, talking to lawyers, preparing. She just hadn't known about the college fund or how deep it all went. When she hung up, she looked at Dad with ice in her eyes. "You have 1 hour to pack a bag and get out of my house," she said. "My house. The one that's in my name, because my parents gave us the down payment, remember?" I did not know that. Dad clearly didn't either. But Dad wasn't going down without a fight, and what he said next crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. Dad stood up, and for the first time in my life I was scared of him. Not physically scared, but scared of what he might do. "You can't throw me out of my own house," he said. "And you can't keep me from my daughter." "Watch me," Mom said. "And after what you did to her? You're lucky I'm not calling the police right now." That's when Dad turned to me. His face changed, got all soft and manipulative. "Sweetheart, you understand, don't you? I was just trying to help someone who needed it. You're strong. You don't need me as much as Dylan does." I stared at him. This man who I'd loved my whole life. This stranger. "Get out," I said quietly. "What?" he blinked. "Get out." I screamed it so loud my throat hurt. "Get out of this house. I never want to see you again." Something in him snapped then. The fake nice dad mask fell off completely. "Fine," he snarled. "Fine," he snarled. "Fine. You'll both regret this. You have no idea what I'm capable of." His threat sounded crazy, but within 24 hours I'd learn he meant every word. Dad left that night, and neither of us slept. Mom and I stayed up until 3 in the morning, just sitting together on the couch. She kept apologizing to me, which broke my heart because none of this was her fault. "I should have protected you," she kept saying. "I should have known." But how could she have known? Dad had been so careful, so sneaky. The next morning I woke up to 17 missed calls. Not from Dad, from the bank. Our bank. I called back with my stomach in knots, and the lady on the phone said, "Miss, we're calling about the attempted withdrawal on your mother's savings account. The one your father tried to make at 5 this morning." My blood ran cold. "What do you mean attempted?" I asked. Turns out, Dad had tried to empty Mom's personal savings, the emergency fund she'd built up over 20 years. Almost $40,000. He'd gone to a 24-hour branch with a fake power of attorney document. Luckily, the teller got suspicious, but what he did next made us realize we were in serious danger. Mom's lawyer, Mark, came to the house that afternoon. He sat us down with this really serious expression. "Karen, you need to understand something," he said. "Tom is going to fight dirty. I've seen this before. Men who get caught like this. They panic. They do desperate things. He wasn't wrong." Mark explained that even though the house was in Mom's name, Dad could still make claims on it in the divorce. And the college fund? That was even more complicated. Because technically Dad was the trustee. My grandparents had made him the trustee thinking they could trust him. So legally he hadn't actually stolen from me. He'd misused his authority as trustee, but that was harder to prove as a crime. "But he took it," I said, tears streaming down my face again. "He stole it." "I know, honey," Mark said gently. "And we're going to fight to get it back. But you need to prepare yourself. It might take months, maybe longer, and there's no guarantee." That's when I realized the legal system wasn't going to save me fast enough. I needed to take matters into my own hands. That night I couldn't sleep again. I kept thinking about Dad's smug face. About Dylan, some kid I'd never met, living my dream on my money. About Jennifer, this homewrecker who destroyed my family. And about how the law was just going to let them get away with it, at least for now. That's when I got the idea. If I couldn't get justice through the courts, maybe I could get it another way. I started researching. I looked up Jennifer online. Dad had mentioned her last name once, and in his emails I found where she worked. She was a real estate agent. Smiled and all her profile pictures like butter wouldn't melt in her mouth. I found Dylan's social media too. He had Instagram, TikTok, everything public. And boy was he living it up. Posts about his amazing new life and his supportive new dad figure. Pictures of him with my father's arm around his shoulders. Seeing those pictures gave me the perfect idea for revenge. It was risky, maybe even crazy, but I didn't care anymore. I spent hours going through Dylan's posts, and Jennifer's. And here's what I learned. They had no idea that Dad was still married. At least Dylan didn't. All his posts talked about how his mom finally found a good man, and how they were building a new life together. He called Dad Tom in posts, never my mom's boyfriend or anything that suggested affair. Jennifer was smarter. Her social media was more private. But Dylan had tagged her in enough stuff that I could see some of her pictures. And in those pictures, she was wearing a ring, an engagement ring. Dad had proposed to her, while still married to my mom. while living in our house. I took screenshots of everything, every post, every picture, every comment. Then I did something I'm not totally proud of, but desperate times, right? I created a fake Instagram account, made it look like a random college girl interested in art, and I followed Dylan. Within 2 days, he followed me back, and that's when my plan really started coming together. I started liking Dylan's posts, leaving friendly comments. Nothing weird, just stuff like cool painting or love this style. He responded to a few. Seemed like a normal kid, honestly, which made me feel bad for about half a second. Then I remembered he was living off my money and that feeling disappeared real quick. After a week, I sent him a DM. Hey, I saw you're going to art school. I'm actually thinking about it too. Mind if I ask you some questions? He wrote back within an hour. Super friendly. We chatted about schools, programs, costs. And that's when I dropped the bomb, real casual like. Wow, that's expensive. Are you paying with loans or did you save up? His response made me want to throw my phone. I'm really lucky actually. My mom's boyfriend is helping pay for it. He believes in me, you know? Says every kid deserves a chance at their dreams. Every kid except his own daughter, apparently. But I played it cool because I was about to drop a truth bomb that would destroy everything. I continued chatting with Dylan for another week. Built up trust. He even sent me some of his artwork. It was actually pretty good, which annoyed me. I wanted him to be terrible so I could hate him easier. But I pushed through. Then I casually mentioned, "That's so cool that your mom's boyfriend is so supportive. How long have they been together?" "About 3 years," Dylan wrote. "He's honestly been more of a dad to me than my real father ever was. My mom is so happy now." 3 years. He confirmed it. 3 years of my dad living a double life. That's amazing, I typed back, my hands shaking with rage. Is he planning to be your stepdad officially? Yeah. Dylan seemed excited. They're getting married next summer. Finally gonna have a real family, you know? Next summer. While dad was still married to my mom. While he was still pretending to be my father. I had everything I needed now. It was time to blow up his perfect little fantasy world. I sat down at my computer with all my evidence. Screenshots of Dylan's posts about his new dad. Dad's emails about the divorce plan. Bank records showing the stolen college fund. Pictures of the engagement ring. And I created something beautiful. A website. A simple, clean website with one purpose, to tell the truth. I called it The Real Tom Henderson. I put everything on there. Every document, every screenshot, every receipt. I wrote out the whole story in simple, clear language. How he stole from his daughter, how he was still married, how he was lying to Jennifer and Dylan about everything. Then I did something genius. I bought Facebook ads. Targeted to our hometown. Targeted to Jennifer's real estate company. Targeted to Dad's workplace, he was a manager at a manufacturing plant. I spent $200 of my summer job savings. Best money I ever spent. Within 6 hours the website had 300 views. Within 12 hours, everything exploded. My phone started blowing up first. Friends from school texting me. Is this real? OMG, are you okay? Your dad is insane. Then mom's phone. Her friends? Our relatives. Everyone in town had seen it. But the best calls? Those came from dad. 7 voicemails, each one more panicked than the last. Take that website down right now. You have no idea what you've done. You're going to ruin everything. Yeah, Dad. That was kind of the point. Then mom's lawyer called. He'd seen it too. Karen, he said, and I could hear him trying not to laugh. I don't know if your daughter is a genius or insane, but this is the best evidence gift I've ever received. Tom's lawyer is going to have a heart attack. Is it legal? Mom asked nervously. Everything on that site is documented truth, Mark said. It's not slander if it's true, and she didn't violate any privacy laws. She used publicly available information and her own family documents. But the best part? I hadn't heard from Jennifer or Dylan yet. That was about to change. The next morning, I got an email from Jennifer. My hand shook as I opened it. I don't know who you are or why you created that website, but you need to take it down. You're spreading lies about a good man who's trying to help my son. I literally laughed out loud. Lies? I wrote back immediately. Hi Jennifer. I'm Tom's daughter. The one whose college fund he stole to pay for your son's art school. Everything on that website is documented and true. Maybe you should ask your good man why he's still married to my mother. She wrote back in 5 minutes. This time, the tone was different. His daughter? He said he was divorced 2 years ago. He said his daughter was away at college already. I sent her copies of my parents' marriage certificate, recent utility bills with both their names, everything. And then I waited. 2 hours later, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. It was Jennifer. She was crying. What she told me in that phone call made me realize Dad had been lying to everyone, and his lies were even worse than I thought. He told me his wife died. Jennifer sobbed into the phone. He said cancer 3 years ago. He said you were estranged, that you blamed him for her death and wouldn't talk to him. I felt sick. My dad had killed off my mom and his fantasy world, and made me the bad guy who abandoned him. My mom is very much alive, I said quietly. She's sitting right next to me. I put the phone on speaker so Mom could hear. Jennifer cried harder. He showed me pictures, a grave and everything. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Dylan has no idea. I thought he was this lonely widower who just wanted a second chance at family. She wasn't a homewrecker. She was another victim. Somehow that made it worse. Dad had fooled everyone. He'd created entire false realities for different people in his life. The college fund, Jennifer whispered. That was real? That was your money? My grandparents' money for me, I confirmed. Every penny. Then Jennifer said something that shocked both Mom and me. She wanted to help. I'm going to pay it back, Jennifer said firmly. Every cent Dylan used for school. I don't care if I have to take out a loan. This is wrong. You don't have to, I started. You don't have to, I started. Yes, I do, she interrupted. I have a son. If someone did this to him, I'd want them to make it right. And I'm going to make sure Dylan understands what happened. He needs to know his school is being paid for honestly. Mom was crying now. Thank you, she whispered. Jennifer paused. Where is Tom now? Do you know? He's been staying at a hotel, Mom said. The cheap one on Route 9. He's been calling and texting, threatening to sue us for defamation. He's been calling me too, Jennifer said. Saying you're all lying, that you're trying to destroy his life. I believed him until an hour ago. We talked for 2 more hours, shared stories, compared lies. Realized Dad had told Jennifer he was 52, he's 56. That he was part owner of his company, he's not. That he had a master's degree, he doesn't. By the end of that call, the 3 of us women had formed a plan that would make Dad wish he'd never been born. We decided to meet with Dad together. All 3 of us, me, Mom, and Jennifer. We wanted him to face everyone he'd lied to at once. No escape. No more different stories for different people. Jennifer called him and said she wanted to talk. She suggested meeting at a neutral place, a coffee shop downtown. She didn't mention that Mom and I would be there. The look on Dad's face when he walked in and saw all 3 of us sitting together? I wish I'd gotten a picture. He literally stopped in the doorway. His face went white, then red, then white again. What is this? He asked. This is your reckoning, Mom said calmly. Sit down, Tom. I don't have to, he started. Sit down or I call the police about the attempted theft from my savings account, Mom interrupted. Your choice. He sat. Looked like a trapped animal. His eyes darted between us, probably trying to figure out which lie to tell. But we didn't give him the chance to speak. What Mom said first made him realize his whole world had crumbled. Mom slid a folder across the table. These are divorce papers, she said. You're going to sign them. Today. You're going to give up any claim to the house, to my retirement, to anything with my name on it. You can't, Dad started. We can, Jennifer interrupted. And you're going to pay back every cent of that college fund. I've already transferred $15,000 to Karen. That's what Dylan spent so far. The rest will come from you. Dad's face went purple. You're working together against me? Are you kidding me? You did this to yourself, I said. My voice was steady now, strong. You lied to everyone. You stole from your own kid. You faked Mom's death for God's sake. What did you think was going to happen? I was trying to help Dylan, he shouted. People in the coffee shop turned to look. No, Jennifer said coldly. No, Jennifer said coldly. You were trying to play hero with someone else's money. You were trying to buy my love and Dylan's respect. Well, congratulations. It worked. Until it didn't. Then I pulled out one more piece of paper that made Dad realize he'd lost everything. There's one more thing, I said, sliding my own paper across the table. What now? Dad asked bitterly. That's a contract, I said. You're going to sign it. It says you give up all parental rights to me. You're not my father anymore. Not legally, not emotionally, not in any way. His face crumpled. For the first time he looked actually hurt. You don't mean that, he whispered. I absolutely do, I said. You chose Dylan over me. You said family first while throwing me away. Well, congratulations, Dad. You're free. Go be Dylan's father since you want that so bad. But you're done being mine. Sweetheart, please. He reached for my hand. I pulled back. Don't ever call me that again. Mom handed him a pen. Sign everything, Tom. Or we press charges for the attempted theft, for the fraud. For everything. Mark has all the documentation ready to go. For a long moment I thought he might refuse. But then something in him broke, and what he did next was the first honest thing he'd done in years. He signed all of it. The divorce papers, the financial agreement, the paper terminating his parental rights. His hand was shaking so hard he could barely write, but he did it. When he finished, he looked up at me one last time. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I really am. I got confused. I thought I could have both families. You can't love two families by destroying one of them, I said. That's not how it works. He stood up slowly, like an old man. He looked at Jennifer. Can we? No, she said firmly. Dylan and I are moving back to Ohio next month. Far away from you. He's transferring schools. I'll be paying for it honestly this time. But I love you, Dad said. He actually sounded broken. You love the idea of being needed, Jennifer replied. That's not the same thing. He looked at Mom. She just shook her head. No words needed. Then he looked at me one last time. I stared back, stone-faced. He walked out of that coffee shop alone and I felt nothing. But my real revenge? That came 3 months later. True to her word, Jennifer paid back the full amount. Combined with the settlement Mom got in the divorce, Dad had to sell his car and cash out part of his 401k. I actually ended up with more than the original college fund. Karma, right? I started college that spring semester instead of fall. It was hard being a semester behind, but I made it work. Mom and I moved into a smaller house, just the two of us. It was cozy, peaceful, no more walking on eggshells, no more wondering when Dad would come home or who he was really with. And here's the crazy part, I became friends with Dylan. Yeah, you heard that right. Once he learned the truth, he was horrified. He sent me a 5-page apology letter. We ended up video chatting and honestly, he's a good kid. He got caught up in Dad's lies just like Jennifer did. He paid me back $2,000 from his own savings, money from a summer job. I told him he didn't have to, but he insisted. But the best part of my revenge? That came when Dad tried to come crawling back. 6 months after everything exploded, Dad showed up at our new house. He looked terrible. Lost weight, messy hair, wrinkled clothes. I have nowhere else to go, he said to Mom through the screen door. She didn't open it. That's not my problem anymore, Tom. Please. I lost my job. Jennifer won't talk to me. Dylan blocked me. I'm staying in my car. You made your choices, Mom said. Live with them. Can I at least talk to my daughter? He asked. I came to the door. Looked at the stranger who used to be my dad. I'm not your daughter anymore, remember? I said. You signed the papers. You made that choice. I was angry. I didn't mean, yes, you did, I interrupted. You meant every choice you made. When you stole my money. When you stole my money. When you lied to everyone. When you said family first about someone else's kid. You meant all of it. I'm sorry, he said. He was crying now. I'm so sorry. And you know what? I almost felt bad for him. Almost. Until I remembered what he'd taken from me, and what I said next felt so good. You're not sorry you did it, I said quietly. You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry there were consequences. That's not the same thing. He opened his mouth to argue, but I kept going. You know what the saddest part is? If you'd just been honest. If you just told Mom you were unhappy, gotten divorced the right way, I would have understood eventually. I would have forgiven you. But you stole from me. You looked me in the eye and said someone else's kid mattered more than your own. You can't come back from that. No, I said firmly. You taught me something important, Dad. You taught me that I don't need someone who calls themselves family but doesn't act like it. I've got Mom. I've got real friends. I've got people who actually put me first. I don't need you. Mom put her hand on my shoulder. United front. Goodbye, Tom, she said. And we closed the door. We watched through the window as he stood there for a minute, then walked back to his car. I thought that would be the last time I'd ever see him. I was wrong. But what happened next proved I'd made the right choice. That was 2 years ago. I'm a junior in college now, majoring in finance, because after everything with Dad, I learned that knowledge is power, especially when it comes to money. Mom is thriving. She got a promotion at the hospital. Started dating again. She's happy in a way I never saw her when Dad was around. Jennifer and Dylan? They're doing great in Ohio. Dylan sends me his artwork sometimes. We follow each other on social media. He's genuinely talented, and now he knows his education is honest. As for Dad? Last I heard, he's working at a warehouse in another state, living in a small apartment. Alone. And you know what? I don't feel guilty. Not even a little bit. He made his choices. I made mine. The difference? My choices were about protecting myself and standing up for what was right. His choices were about selfishness and lies. So if you're reading this, if you're in a situation where someone who's supposed to love you is treating you like you don't matter, remember this: you deserve better. You are worth fighting for. And sometimes, the best revenge isn't about hurting someone back. It's about building a life so good, so strong, so yours that they realize exactly what they lost. The one that chooses me back, that's what really matters. So that's my story of how family first became the lie that changed everything. When my dad drained my college fund for his affair partner's son, he thought I'd just accept it. But this family betrayal story doesn't end with me being a victim. The college fund conflict became my wake-up call. If you've dealt with family financial conflict, affair and family issues, or watched a parent choose someone else's kid over you, you're not alone. Sometimes the family that matters most is the one you build yourself. Thanks for watching, and remember, you deserve better. Always.